Hey everyone, I think there might be a little confusion on how to draw the normal curve and express the standard deviation. So I was going to show you how to do this really quickly. Basically, to do this you need two things. You need a mean and you need a standard deviation. So a lot of y'all are pretty good at figuring those things out, so I'm not going to go into that detail. But for example, let's just take, for the sake of argument, a mean of 5 and a standard deviation of 2. For the normal curve, what it's going to end up looking like is something like this. Now your mean is going to be the center of the normal curve. That gives us 5. One standard deviation from that mean is going to be plus or minus that standard deviation. So one standard deviation gives us 7 and 3. Two standard deviations is just going to be the standard deviation times 2. And really what we can do is we can go from this number and just do another 2 away. And again we get this. Lastly, third standard deviation, same concept, 2 times 3. You could do it from there, or you could just do it from this number. So 3 standard deviations would be 11 and negative 1. And really what this is telling us, this is one standard deviation. And one standard deviation we can assume in a normal curve, and very likely it will be, about 68% of all data within this model will fall in this area. Between two standard deviations, which would be here and here, we can assume about 95.4% of all the numbers in this data will fall between these two numbers. Lastly, you have 3 standard deviations, and we can assume that about 99.7% of all the numbers will fall between 3 standard deviations in a normal distribution. So this would differ if, say, the distribution was skewed. It would look something like that, where your mean is actually there. So we would assume that most of the numbers would fall between this area. But in a normal normal distribution, in a normal curve, most of your numbers are going to fall along these same lines. So anybody still having trouble with that, you're welcome to resubmit, and I'll certainly grade on that. Just do one of the samples in your homework is just fine, just to express that you understand these sort of the aspects of 1 standard deviation, 2 standard deviations, and 3 standard deviations.